Hey everyone, this is Rick Morgan, your comic book scientist. I got a new one the other day. Somebody sent me some money, and this time it was money like this, and it has some stains on it. My money, as you know, is cotton and linen. This is a $500 note from 1934, and it has something that appears to be foxing on it, and I'll show you some close-ups. Obviously, I'll take some photos. And I honestly don't know how to clean money. So I've spent the last couple of weeks reading about money ink, and what can happen to it, how it gets stained, and I'm going to try my best. I'm going to start with the gentlest stuff possible and work my way up and see what I can do. And we'll try it out. This will be fun for everybody, so hope you guys enjoy the video. Take care. Bye. One thing I learned is that these Federal Reserve notes are graded much like comic books are. They get a point system. They have a little case, and they have a little label at the top. And I guess some of them are worth quite a bit. This one's worth $15,000. I don't have any idea what any of this stuff means. This is $7,200. The price varies quite a bit, but just like you'd find in comic books, they are sensitive to grading, apparently. So it's kind of interesting to see that there's this whole other side of the world. I always knew that comic books were sort of related to maybe coins within their grading, because they talk about a mint comic book, but comic books aren't minted, they're printed. So why minting, right? So I assumed we sort of borrowed from their grading system, but it's kind of fun to see this go full circle. And it's kind of fun to work on these things, actually, in the same way it's fun to work on the comic books, really. So I have at this point tried erasers. I have tried the sponge. I have tried Absorbing. I'm not having a lot of luck with removing this material, so I am going to try first with a Q-tip a little bit of, Immacuclean, just to see what happens. I fear I might have to wash this thing. And I'm going to go out to this corner here, and I'm going to roll this in here, get a little wet, and see if I can get that off of there. See what it looks like. I don't know if this camera's picking this up or not. It doesn't seem to be hurting the bill in any way. Just kind of checking the different spots for ink lift. And notice how I'm rolling and not rubbing. I don't really see it improving in any way. But I am going to keep trying and see if this comes up. I don't see any material coming up yet. Again, rolling, not rubbing. Rolling, not rubbing. Well, I'm going to keep trying with this method, and then we'll come back and see how it looks. Give it a shot. Well, this money is sort of dirty in general, which is a surprise, because there's quite a bit of dirt coming off of it, but it's not, I don't appear to be moving this stains at all. And of course it's curling up quite a bit too because of the surface tension. And if we put more on, it'll level itself out, and it's not coming up. I may have to resort to drastic measures in this case, and we'll try it, see. Since I didn't have too much luck with regular cleaning, it came a little bit cleaner. I'm going to show you the before and after pictures here, so you can look and see what the front looks like and what the back looks like. Now it's cleaner, but it's not super clean, right? I mean, you'd say, okay, it's a little better, but that's not great. So I decided to go one step further and use a trick I use with comic books, which is to cut a ultraviolet mask out. Now I don't use ultraviolet a lot on my books. I know a lot of people will do because I'm afraid it might embrittle paper. It's one thing that I'm cautious of, but I'm becoming more comfortable with it in certain circumstances like this, where the book is, or in this case the note is really very low quality because of the stains. It's the only thing holding it down, and so we're not really losing a lot if we do some other sort of damage. So what I did was I went through the process of tracing the stains out, making a UV mask, and exposing it to some low power UV lights. And I'll show you how I do that in detail. You can see the process, see how the sausage is made, as they say. Okay, for this next part, I'm going to just select the parts that I want to make a mask for. And the way I do that is there's lots of ways to do it. You can just select a circle, but I'm going to use this magic wand tool here, which is the quick selection tool. And I'm going to press Shift to add, and on my computer Option to delete. So I'm just going to select some things, just kind of add, and just go around and press Shift and add to this color. There, I can add the colors I want. I'm holding down the Shift key. That's why I get the plus. Shift, no shift, shift, no shift. So I'm just kind of adding these colors, and eventually I'm going to add stuff I don't want. Whoop, like that. Then I'm going to go back and hit Option, and that makes a minus sign, and I subtract the parts I don't want to mask. And I am making a selection mask this way. And I'm going to go back to Shift, and then I'm going to reduce the size with the bracket keys of the cursor here, and I'm going to go back and sort of refine this a little, and by going Option, 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 whoops, Shift. So I'm going to have to add some parts sort of manually to this. So I'll sort of walk around, and I'm going to switch to the maybe the drawing tool, or I would go to the polygonal lasso tool, and I'm going to hold Shift now, and I'm just going to sort of add to this selection by doing this here, and then we'll go back to my original one. I'll click inside that, and then here, and then that will add sort of manually that part. Now if I hit Option in polygonal lasso tool, I'm kind of I'm making sort of the opposite selection. I got to remember to sort of enclose the part I want, go back to beginning, and then it subtracts, and so I've got like a better fit for the yellow parts there. That's where I want to make my mask, and of course I want to add a little up here as well. I'm just refining this edge, you can see, but you have to remember to go back to the beginning, and then that's, can be the shape of that part there. Similarly, if I come around here, if I want to get the 500, right, the 0, but I don't want to have that very center, I'm just going to make a rough edge here, and then I'm going to go back and hit Option, and then take out this middle part, and then that'll be oops, I have to remember to go back to the beginning, or I'll double click and it goes, and it subtracts. That middle part is now not part of the mask. And I'll do the same with the others here. I'll show you the mask that I made earlier. I'm just going to go to Select, Load Selection, and then I have a note in here I'm going to load, which is, where is it? Selection 2, and that's the selection I made previously. So we're going to take this one and we're going to convert it to a path. Now we're going to rescale the image to the actual size so that we're not cutting this thing 12 inches across, because I think this whole image is scanned at like 55 inches. So we're going to choose the ruler tool over here, and you can see where I have done this already. We're going to measure this guy. I'm going to hold Shift so it's a straight line, and right there. Well, actually what I'll do is I'll show you the whole thing. So I'll go to Image, Analysis, Set Measurement, Scale, Custom. We're now going to click on this left side. We're going to hold down Shift and go right. So it's a straight line, and then that's 3,658 is 6 1/8 inches. I already typed this in before, that's why it's there. We're going to say that we're going to go to OK. So now when we go back, if I go clear and I measure some, this should be, I don't know, 3/4 of an inch, let's say, an inch. Yeah, not 3/4, let's say. And I want to go to measure again. I'm just going to measure across here, and I go to record measurements, and that is, yep, almost 3/4 of an inch, and that tells me the scale factor is 597 is what we're looking for. And that's the important part. But let's test our, I'll get rid of that measurement since you can only read one at a time. I'm going to go measure the length of the bill here. It should be about, I'm not going to be able to measure it exactly, but we'll get 6 and it should be around 6 1/8. So I'm going to go to record measurements, and it is 6 1/8, and the scale factor is 597, which is the important thing we need, 0.225. That's what we want to scale it to. So let's go scale it. So remember this number here, 597 pixels per inch. That's our scale factor, right? But if we go to, where is that at? Image, and we want to go to canvas size. It was scanned at, I think 72 pixels per inch. It was, oh, we want to go to image size. Image size here, it's 72 pixels per inch, right? So we need to resize the image. And we are going to do that by taking 72 and dividing that by our other number, which was the 597. And we're going to readjust the size of this using percent. So 72 divided by 597, and hold on, I can't do that in my head, is it's going to be 12. You get the number you get is 0.01205. So I'm going to reduce it to 12.05%. So I'm going to change this to percent. Okay. And then I'm going to change this to 0.05, locked in. So I'm going to resize the entire image, and then I'll make it bigger here. And now this image is, lower resolution, but it's the actual size. All right, now we're getting there, I promise. And we resize this because we're going to make a path from our selection at this size, and your size of your your path is, you want it to be the same size as your selection, so we had to resize it there. But you are limited because how well you can make the path depends on the resolution of your selection. So we're going to reload. We saved our previous selection. I'm going to go select, load selection, go to selection 2, and there it is. This is the selection we made previously. I'm going to go over, you can't quite see it. I'm going to try to scooch this over so you can, actually, can I just break that out of the, I'm just going to drag my paths tool so you can see it up here. Hello, we're on layers. I'm going to select paths. You can just select this tool to make the layer into a path, but I'm going to hit option and select it first. And it says make work path. And a make work path, that gives me a lot more flexibility in where the points go. So if this was a big number, like I like 2, obviously you can see that 2 is in here. Like 0.1, it would be a very tight path, but I need some fuzziness in it. So I'm going to put 2 pixels. It's going to give me this path. And I can go in here now, and I can sort of select these points and just sort of drag them around and select individual ones and adjust the work path before I cut it. You'll see here in a moment. Now you might want to edit this path. You may want to use the pen tool to add more anchor points. So you would want one right there, or one right over here or something. And you want to use the direct selection tool, which is the white arrow. You can select a section here, and then you can edit the path if you want. If you wish, you can select some of these points and you can drag them in, or let me zoom in a little bit so you can see. Let me try to do this here. You may want to select some of these points and you can adjust them, or these little handles, and kind of conform it. Like this one might want to come out a little bit here. I'm going to adjust these handles to kind of grab that. And also, because I know the laser is just not going to be able to cut these, I'm going to grab these handles, and you just sort of adjust the path to something that you think makes sense to your shape, right? And here's your chance to add parts to this, subtract parts. You just kind of go in and adjust it so that it fits what you're looking at. And you may want to subtract parts too, right? So you just kind of give it a little scoochy scooch here to fit where I think I want this laser to cut. Like this one could be bigger, right? I want to make this a little bigger here, scooch this down. And this is, I'm just going to go around and I'm going to get rid of that guy, adjust this so it fits a little better what I think where I would like the light to go in my mask. Now I can add points, subtract them. I don't really need to add a lot right here, but I'm going to scooch this over because I feel that this could be in here a little better. And I can go back in and like deselect this 3 and cut that out exactly, right? Like I would kind of like to miss this black area here if I can a little, while making sure it's still easy for the laser to cut that shape. I'm not going to get away from this guy too much, but I'd kind of like to dodge the DC a little here and scooch that over. And you know, this could use a little form fitting too. I'm going to scooch this down there, and I'm making this into a path that I can copy over to Illustrator and turn it into laser cutting. So we'll scooch this just a little more here. I mean, you can spend your whole life doing this, but you know, I think we probably need to make a path there too, you know, so we can add the pen tool. So the next thing you want to do is save your paths to Illustrator. So we already have this path here. It's called work path. And I think if I can rename it, I'm going to call it laser path 1. And you make sure they're all selected, and you're selected when you can see this point. You use the path selection tool, and you hold down shift and it selects all of them so the anchor points show up, and then you just go file, export, and then you go to paths to Illustrator, and you want laser path 1 to be saved. And where do you want it saved? You put it here, and then you go to Illustrator and you hit Command O, or you go File, Open, and you pick this one here, and it should open these. Leave it there, and you won't see anything at first, but the paths are here. See, they are here. You can like highlight. There they are. And then I'm going to make this whole thing bigger, obviously. So those are our paths in Illustrator. So then I was clicked off of them before, so I'm using the direct select tool. I'm going to highlight everything. You'll see it all here. So that's the fill. Here's the stroke. So I'm going to hold down the shift key and hit this and hit it black. And I'll make the stroke a little thinner. I'll call it 0.01. And then this is, well, maybe a little thicker so we can see it easier for our purposes. But the laser is going to cut it a lot thinner. So that is our path. That's what we are going to print in the laser for the mask, for our UV mask here. That's the entire artboard, and I'm going to go ahead and file, save this, and I'm going to call it 500 note image converted. I'm going to go OK, and then I'm going to go File, Export as, for my purposes, not as DXF, but as an SVG file. Oh, actually, I'll go to DXF for my laser cutter, DWG. I'll do both just to see what I need. I'm going to go File, Export as. I'll do a few just in case my laser doesn't like one or the other. I'll do the last one here, which is I'm not completely sure which one it's going to like the best. I always do a bunch just in case I don't know what's happening with it that particular day. Good. Now I'm going to take these to my laser and we're going to cut it out. All right, so we're going to go ahead and pull in this file. We're going to go File, Open, and we are going to go to all supported files, Illustrator file, open it up, and then there's our path. So if you look here, you'll see that this is our guy, and we want to cut a frame around the outside of that and get it lined up in a file that is about, I think this was 6 1/8 inches by, let's see, 6.125. So we're going to click a new layer. I'll make it a red layer. And we're going to click a square here, any size. We're going to type in 6.125. and 2.675 are the dimensions of the bill. And that should make an item that is the right size for this. And we'll put this so that's in the corner of it. So this reaches out just a tish of the actual size of the bill. There we go. So that one we're going to set to not be an output, but just to kind of mark where the bill goes. And then we are going to take a blue layer, and we're going to draw another square that's just a bit bigger. That will be I'll draw the square first. And I'll draw a blue layer a little bigger. And that one will be cut. Actually, they'll all be cut, but this one will be cut at a lower power, let's say 15%. The red one, and then the blue and the black one will be cut at, we will come in at 800% at a slower speed. And we'll do the same thing here. And then that will be the part, that will be what we cut out, and we'll do that now. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is put a piece of plastic in here in the laser and then we're going to zoom in up and down, and we're going to focus the laser on this spot. There. Then we're going to move it over here about, and then we're going to get ready to do it. So, okay, pause it. All right, now we're going to go ahead and start cutting it with the laser, see how it goes. We're going to give it a shot here in a second. And start. So we're going to see what happens. It's going to cut out.
Can I zoom in or something?
If you want to, push up on that button. Up. That's in. Up. There you go. That's a weaker one, right? That's just the line that shows where the edge of the bill is. And we're going to cut out the plastic entirely. All right, so leave it going. So let's take a look at what we got here. And here we go. So here's our bill. Here's our mask.
Whoa.
Right? So we're going to take off this plastic here, if we can.
It smells like burnt.
This is mostly just for sizing of the holes that we're going to use, right? So go ahead and stop it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to check this for fit, and if it works, we'll cut it in clear so we can get it lined up. Here's the holes, here's the patterns here, right? And then what we're going to do is we're going to just lay this on top of there and make sure it doesn't need to be resized at all. This is going to be off the right it was even in the original. So we're going to go ahead and set this on here, and it looks like a good size. You can see all of our stains on here, right? So we're going to go ahead and it's good. We're going to leave it as it is, not make any adjustments, and we're going to cut this from clear plastic that we can see through better, and then we'll do our UV stuff. Go ahead and stop. All right, since we like that, we're going to stick this joker back in here. This is a really expensive glare resistant plastic. Sorry, UV resistant plastic. So put that in there. Watch this. I'm going to keep the camera over there. I'm going to turn this on, and I'm just going to hit start, and it's going to cut that one out as well. I'll turn this off so you can see what it's doing. So it's cutting out the real one. All right, let's give it a second for the smoke to clear. And there we go. So we've now cut out this part, right? And from this we can make our mask. So this is going to be our actual mask for this part. If I can get this off of here, it will be. All right, pause it for a second. So now we've got our non-glare, this is like museum quality non-glare PVC. We're going to put this on here, so get up over the top a little more so people can see a bit further away so my hands can get in. Then we're just going to line this up and say, does this line up properly? And we're going to get our build a little bit staticky. And is it lining up? Looks like we missed a few spots I would have liked to have covered, but yeah, look at this, for example. That's lined up well, this is lined up well. There's a few spots that should have probably been included in our mask, but we can get them later. But this, however, is our UV mask. So I'm going to take a picture of it. Like, we want to add probably these areas, and we'll do it a second time. This is just our first cut, and also only the front. And that's it. So now we're going to expose this to UV light, and we'll see if it helps with those areas. Actually, these can be controls, right? So that is what we're going to do. All right, thanks. All right, so what we want to do is we're going to take our mask here, and sometimes, you know, if it's a comic book, I take some special tape and tape it down and hold it still. I don't think I need to do that in this case, but we're just going to line this up. I usually take one of these Q-tips here to help me so I don't move it around too much, and we're just going to put this here, and we're going to hold that and put it in place like that. And then check the alignment and make sure everything's lined up right. It is. And we're going to take a little look there. It looks like it is pretty good. It looks like it's not going to move too much. And over a day or so, we're going to put this, tape this down here like, I'll put it like this. We're just going to tape it so it doesn't move. I'll get one more piece. And I'm building a very different light box right now. So this is more of a rustic approach, which will change in just another week to a very specific and fancier setup. But whoops, dang it. See, that's what I'm trying to avoid, actually.
Oh.
And then we are gonna tape this down, and then we're gonna take our lights and put them as close as possible. And we're gonna, of course, like I said, we're gonna improve the lighting, and by the time we get around to the back of this, it'll probably be a lot better. And we're going to turn on our UV lights, and we'll shut the ambient lights off. And then we're just going to see what happens. All right, so what do you think, Nolan?
Oh, I don't know.
Is it
What's going to happen? I feel like I might get treated, but, you know, there's really no telling.
Yeah, we'll come back and see. I'll leave this for several hours. We'll leave it for, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours and come back and see what happens, okay?
Okay.
All right, let's do it.
Go.
All right, so let's have a look, Nolan. You ready?
All right.
What do we got here, partner? Let's turn this light on. How's it look? Has it gotten any better? Yeah, it's okay. It's not perfect. Should we give
So
it
what was it supposed to improve?
the coloring of these stains here? They don't look tremendously better.
But they're better.
Yeah, they are. Not a lot, though, honestly. Let's give it some more time, okay?
Okay.
Okay, push stop. All right, Nolan, you ready to see what it looks like?
Yep.
Okay, get in there and zoom in on it a little bit. Can you see it at all? Okay, now let's turn on the lights, turn off the UV light, and let's see what it looks like.
Okay.
What do you think?
Whoa.
Well, it looks better, I think. Zoom out so they can see the whole thing. What do you think?
Pretty cool.
Yeah, go. Looks pretty good. Not perfect,
Got
but
a
good,
spot there.
right? Okay. Thank you very much, son. That's all we need.
Okay, cool.
So, folks, that's how I do it. Am I super anal about stuff? Yes, I am. That's how I roll. That's how it's just how I do it. I'm sorry. Do I do too much? Yes, I do. I get it. I'm super, super picky and super slow. And I know this is a long, boring video. Believe me, it could have been a lot more boring and longer. I cut a lot of stuff out. But I think this is the outcome. Look at the, the before and after pictures here. See what you think. Yeah, again, not perfect. I would like to spend more time on it, but I got other stuff to work on. I'm gonna send it back to the guy who sent this to me, and I hope he's happy. Did this for free. I just had a good time doing it. I don't do this kind of work normally, and it's fun. And I hope that I hope he likes it a lot, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and it can learn something from it. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. Take care. Bye bye.